I'm Steph Charette, district fish biologist for the John Day Basin. In terms of the John Day River, there's a variety of options for bass fishing. There's multi-day trips like we're doing today on a 3.5-day trip, and then there's plenty of day trips and even bank accessible fishing to be done around Spray and Kimberly, a little upriver from here. So things you want to kind of keep in mind is flows. River flows are very important. You're dealing with rafts or drift boats or larger craft. You kind of want to keep it above 1500 CFS. It'll prevent you from having a lot of issues. Smaller crafts like pontoons, single person watercrafts, you can easily get by below 1,000. Fish are pretty much ubiquitous throughout the river. So, fishing mostly slower pools, slow moving water, tail outs, deeper holes along any sort of river habitat. The cliff banks, there's a lot of cliff walls. Those aren't quite as bassy, even though they're usually dark, deep holes. But anywhere where there's good edge habitat around the willows or anything where the bank kind of drops off and there's muddy bottom, that's usually a pretty good spot to concentrate for fish. Mr. Twister grubs. A 2, 3, 4 inch grub, Mr. Twisters or the tube jigs, those are pretty much money. Anything crayfish colored, you're gonna have success on it. Generally, we're talking about fish that are in the 8 to 10 inch range, so factor that in terms of the sizing. But as we've seen over the last few days, there are 20-inch bass in here. We do occasionally pick them up. And a lot of people have a lot of fun on surface lures as well, poppers. Fly fishing can be very fun as well. But anything, honestly, if you want to catch a bunch of fish and you're not overly concerned about size, a simple spinning rod with 6-pound test line on it and a Mr. Twister 3-inch grub, crayfish colored or something like that, should do very, very well. Things to keep in mind are definitely there's river etiquette on this river. It's the Great Basin, it's very dry, so packing out trash and removing food scraps is very important. Bringing a toilet is also very important. A lot of these camps are used by hundreds of people throughout the river season, so keeping it clean and leave no trace is extremely important. So in terms of why we're out here collecting length data, it just gives us a good species composition in terms of age class and size class. For the last 10 years, it's mostly always been predominantly 8 to 10 inch fish, and as we've seen on this trip, there's a lot of them. So it definitely indicates that it's a very high population, large numbers of bass in this river. And it's kind of a census just to make sure that we understand what's going on with the bass population in the John Day. We do have some catfish in here and they can make for some good table fare. And so if you're at camp and you choose wisely and you're at a camp with a nice big deep hole, I would certainly encourage people to try their hand at catfish fishing.